All right, sounds good. Well, welcome everyone to the Dynamic Directions monthly exciting webinar series, Bullish on Business. Thank you for being on today. We got a nice group, see a lot of people, a lot of familiar names, and some familiar faces. So welcome. It's certainly exciting time so far this year, and I've been talking to a lot of advisors that are going down to Miami, and gosh, it's about 6 weeks. I think it's coming up last week in Miami, our big Becoming Barron's event down there. A lot of excitement. So we're looking forward to that. A lot of things going on in the investment world that we're going to hit and cover today. Of course, the Department of Labor ruling, basically what's happened is the Department of Labor has been asked to review that, and this possibility of maybe pushing back dates. All that's kind of being considered under review right now. So there's a lot of events going around firms to educate people on this, but I was just on a call, and that was kind of the latest update. I was on a financial planning focus group call, giving some value to a bunch of advisors in California, and the FVP out there was kind of giving an update on that. So anyway, we got lots of great investment things. We're going to hit some niche marketing, as some people say, but we're going to hit some niche marketing items that we've seen produce huge results. So we'll jump into that. But Drew, let's dive into the investment world. What's going on right now in the markets, economy? What's the latest that you're talking about with clients and advisors should be thinking about?
John, it is a great time to be in this business. I'm sharing the screen here and kind of go through. And by the way, just as a disclaimer, everything I'm talking about today is my opinion, and no one's paying me for the opinion. But what we are kind of going over with clients is we continually get questions about. There's some concerns about how high can this go. You know, are we looking at a correction anytime soon? Can this thing keep going? People have concerns depending on their political leanings. What's going on in the White House? Other people have concerns about what's going on in different parts of the world. What we've been discussing with clients is first and foremost, we have been on a run. Our chief concern is, are there going to be earnings enough to support this kind of when the euphoria of the new administration wears off? So we are trying to prepare them for a potential pullback, but hopefully that the groundwork is laid for an extension of the uptrend in stocks after the pullback. So one, we're kind of recognizing their fears and saying it's normal to have those fears. We may get a pullback, but generally the economic data appears to be more favorable than what people had anticipated. Macro level stuff that we look at, John, there again, as you know with us, we look at the U.S. dollar. The U.S. dollar index ended up down a little bit today, about a nickel. But this has been on an uptrend. We'll show the charts here. Basically, you see we're off our highs, but still the general uptrend here has been pretty good with the U.S. dollar investment. And almost in a pretty uniform pattern, when the dollar is weak, silver and gold are typically stronger. So we have both sides of those transactions. People are kind of getting used to that on our end of things, and that's an area that we look at. So that's one. We look at the dollar. Interest rates, this little thing, if people want to put this in Thompson, this TNXUT, that's basically the 10-year Treasury yield, John. So today, the yield went up to 2.502% is what the Treasury yield was. It's a neat little thing to kind of just have on your desktop so that you can kind of manage through what interest rates are doing, because we think that's a big driver with what goes on a macro level. Other macro level discussions we're having is what's going on in Europe. There's going to be a few elections coming up this spring in France and then also in Italy, where you've got kind of right-wing type candidates coming to the forefront, wanting to push a Brexit type event in France and Italy. I guess in France it would be a Frexit. In Italy, Exit is what, I don't know. Yeah, we'll send that off to the Home Office to get approved. But, or italics, that may be what we call it. I think there's a better chance that the outside candidate wins in Italy. He's a former comedian, and it's kind of a two-horse race. I believe the deal in France, the way it works, and I'm not a French parliamentarian expert by any stretch of the imagination, is you have a general election primary season where everybody's in it. And I think in France, there's a pretty good centrist party along with a more socialist party and then a more right-wing party. Right now, the moderates in the middle seem to be controlling things, and then the top two candidates will go to a runoff, and I think those events are like in April, May, or May, June. So I think there's still some concern on what might go on with the European experiment as a whole, but I think as advisors, if we keep our ears open, what we're going to start hearing more about is that the euro as a currency and probably a eurozone has been really good for the Germans and probably not many more people than that. So that's kind of another macro theme that we've got in the back of our mind and just occasionally kind of will share with clients. The border adjustment tax that's being bandied about, John, is probably the biggest topic in the U.S. Kind of non-monetary policy type issue. And essentially the way it works is, let's see, who's on the call here today?
Looking for anybody in particular?
Just throw me a name out.
All right, we've got Diane.
So, John, let's say you have a business, I have a business, and Diane has a business. And with the new proposal on a flat corporate tax, if we're all taxed at 20%, let's say. John, if you have a business that just kind of operates normally in the U.S., you'll pay a 20% tax. Let's say Diane has a business that she makes everything here in the U.S. And let's say she makes staplers. She gets all of her steel and presses and everything here, makes staplers, and sells all her staplers to China. She's going to have a 20% income tax on the profits just like we do, but then she's going to get a credit on the amount of business that's exported to offset some of her or maybe all of her tax liability. And then let's say Drew Watson comes in, and I'm in the T-shirt business, and I import every stitch of shirts that I sell in from the People's Republic of Drew, and I sell them to people here in the United States. I'm going to probably need to pay about a 20 to 25% border adjustment tax on that. Now, in reality, I will probably increase the prices of what I sell. But that's how it's being characterized. Another way to think about it, if people on this call have traveled abroad and they get to the airport and they have this VAT tax, value-added tax, generally speaking, most places in Europe, South America, it's anywhere between, say, 18 to 22%. So around 20% is essentially the U.S. is going to put a VAT tax on goods. We're one of the few countries that doesn't have that for people traveling here. So if you've ever been to Disney World in different times of the year and seen people from South America or the Ukraine or Russia, Europe, with wads of cash buying Rolexes like they don't have them for sale in their countries, that's why. We don't have that tax. Now, the implications of that, John, will be pretty outstanding if that goes through. The biggest implication is the dollar would probably strengthen. The academics say somewhere between 20 to 30%. Okay? I don't know in reality it could go that high because a lot of your emerging market debt is priced in dollars. And in essence, what you would create is such a global crisis of solvency that it would not be good. So my guess is we'll get some probably watered down version of this. But even on a watered down version, this kind of brings it full circle. What are you telling your clients? If you look on the back of the collar and the tag on your shirt, it says where it's made, and you don't have anything that's made in North Carolina or in Kentucky or anywhere in the United States, chances are that thing's going to cost you more money, and that's inflationary. So that goes to one of our pillars from the beginning since Trump's come to power, as you know, John, is we felt like he was probably an inflationary candidate. We're not saying inflation, and we want to clarify this with clients, especially clients that have some age on them. This is not a 1978 Jimmy Carter or 1982 Ronald Reagan inflation. This is probably some general inflation that is good. Inflation is the grease in the gears of the economic machine. So we have invested accordingly, and we kind of go through with them where their investments are that will do well if we get inflation. And so obviously that's kind of a big thing we've been discussing among clients. Other things that we're noticing specifically is different models, depending on which models you use with ADP or IRG or where, in the annuities. The more aggressive models kind of didn't do very well last year. It's because of their allocation to international and emerging markets, probably. That's something, given what I discussed with potential dollar appreciation, I think everybody wants to evaluate how much of a weighting they have there. The other thing, John, that we've heard a lot of is floating rates. Okay, and that takes us back to the conference at High Point University. I just kind of punched up the Blackstone. This is a term floater fund, 2020 maturity. It's got some leverage to it. In a recent call with some portfolio managers, right now about 70% of all floating rate funds are selling at a premium. So I should say funds, 70% of the paper is trading above par in these funds. So if you're using a lot of floating rates, that's fine, but be aware there might be some price erosion. Now, the next screen we're going to look over here to the right. Under the 3-month LIBOR, U.S. is at 1.03. The pop-up chart, you'll see we've kind of plateaued off here once we crossed over 100 basis points. Most of the floating rate bonds themselves, or these bank loans, the floor was 1% on LIBOR, so we've just gone over that, but we really haven't moved much above it. So I know the expectation coming out of several meetings has been that these will be great for a rising rate environment. Perhaps not so much the case. Another alternative might be to look at, convertible bonds. We've had some experience with those, long length of time with them. And those might be something that's another thing to evaluate to complement just floating rates in a rising rate environment as well. So that's kind of been the high altitude discussion that we've had with clients. Clients I know are asking a lot of questions about taxes. Nothing's been decided there. I've kind of just gone through with them. Well, we'll assume taxes will be like they are. If they change the law, they may go back to January 1 with whatever potential tax rates that they have. Other questions that we've had outside of the investment stuff, we really have been kind of refocused on showing and interpreting the value for the clients that we have and what we've done for them. I think clients are very appreciative of that. Sometimes they forget exactly what we do, as well as just being kind of a steady hand in the rudder when we have these types of these types of situations. But basically, those are, generally speaking, the main questions and kind of comments that have been kind of going on in our world over the last month since our last call.
Nice. Is any specific questions for Drew? You can pop them in the box down there, the bottom right, or just holler up. Anything about the markets, the economy, specific investments, shifts that Drew's making. Go ahead and pop them in there. But really good update. I think you're right. The main story here is inflation. It could be very, very interesting. But good insights on where things could go here. Drew, any thoughts? Just to wrap up the investment portion, any thoughts on any headwinds we could hit in the markets as far as earnings or anything that could pull back equities here in 2017?
Well, I think, John, one potentially will be the European situation. If everybody's wrong about this French election, that will really scare the market, I think. I think, the interest rate increase expectations are 2 to 3. I think if you get any more than that, then that could also be potentially a headwind. I think a lot of sectors have been priced perfectly. I was on with the hedge fund guys that run, I think one of the better hedge funds that's offered here at Ameriprise across shore. Their managers on Monday. Best performers last quarter and so far year to date obviously have been they're really looking at community banks. But they'll admit they're priced to perfection. John Hancock has a great piece on the number of financial institutions that carry charters here in the U.S. We had probably 20 or 30,000 in the 80s. We're down under 5,000 now, and that number is probably headed towards, half that, if not below it. So Jim Grant talked about this last week. He sees in New York a return to what they call the animal spirits, and that is the M&A activity that went on 2 decades ago that's really kind of been absent for a long time, and there's different sectors that might be ripe for that type of takeover. One area that definitely has continued to kind of languish is healthcare, John. So depending on what models you have and what exposure your clients have to that, that might be another component in underperformance. And definitely it's kind of everything from pharma to biotech, hospitals, just about anything to do with, healthcare has struggled. They thought, the sweet spot, and we talked about this, they thought the sweet spot was the top of the S&P 400, which is the mid cap, and the bottom of the S&P 500, which is the large cap. They thought that, because what they've really tried to do is look at, if this tax thing goes into effect, who are the winners and losers? And they felt like the people that could take advantage of it the most and be hurt the least are in that, call it 250, 300 stock range. Obviously, there's been some really good performance from mega cap stocks this year. Let's look at Apple. Hit a new high today. Look at that 136.27. Let me move my picture here. That's a good looking chart. That's a good looking man and a good looking chart. Just kidding. I couldn't resist. I'm growing my hair out, John, for my Donald Trump one-man show at the River Park. It's coming up. Look at Amazon. That's done pretty well. One thing I'll say about Amazon, and this is in some IRG stuff, and you guys can look it up, this concept, and I'll give kudos to them. They really started looking at this and calling it what it was, I think even a year and a half ago. And I love their name, the Internet of Things, because that's a great conversation to have with clients. I had a lady in here yesterday, she's 79, lives over on a farm in Indiana. Bless her heart, she's got a flip phone that makes a jitterbug you could buy off the internet look like a damn Star Trek Enterprise communicator. It's so old. But she got it. She's seen the commercials. She's got friends that have, they can check their thermostat, on their iPhone. They can see what's in their refrigerator. They can tell if their washer and dryer have finished the cycle from their phone. They can turn their lights on and off, which at D2 headquarters here, Travis and I can do stuff with our lights, but we don't have the app yet on our phone. But that Internet of Things is really what I think, John's going to be a secular growth story. So, do a little bit of digging, see who kind of is on the inside of this. I'm an Amazon Alexa guy at my house because, of course, it's prohibited to have those in the office. Let's, our compliance checkpoint for the day. But if you got a hammer out and broke those up, the real brains in there is a Texas Instruments chip, and then the voice recognition stuff is done by a company, I think ARM Holding, that is owned by SoftBank out on the Tokyo Exchange. But SoftBank does have an ADR here you can buy, but you can't buy it on margin. So, this is the old Peter Lynch, who many of you are too young to remember on this call, ran the Fidelity Magellan Fund. John, I'm sure you're familiar with him. It's the Warren Buffett follow your dollar investing. So for people that would have been skittish to be in technology because they just don't understand it, they now finally get the ability that if you left home and want to turn your thermostat down and you forgot to before you left, that's a good deal. It would be great when I'm at the grocery store, because I can't remember how old my milk is, if my refrigerator would tell me that. It would be great to be able to shut the dryer off when I leave so I don't get a fire in my house because there's so much lint in the dryer vent that occasionally happens in Kentucky, more than any other state. And it would be great to turn my lights off. So some of your people that have been reluctant to get in the tech space, this is a good way, I think, to kind of bring them to where the market is going.
We've got a comment here from Peter Lynch. More money has been lost trying to time corrections than in corrections themselves.
Well, I started out just doing the business brief. Now I'm living large with Robin Leach.
Nice. Well, if you do have more questions, just go ahead and fire them down in the chat box there. We'll keep an eye out for them. But Drew, let's shift gears. Let's talk about a topic that I know a lot of advisors are eager for, that are on today. I know there's a few that can't be on today that are really excited for the follow-up, and it's niche marketing. It's creating situations where you're shooting fish in a barrel, as Drew would say. So Drew, let's just start at a high level with niche marketing. What the heck is it? How do you think about it? And how can advisors get started recognizing their niche and doing something about this?
When you break down your book, your prospect, your opportunities to the granular level, what are the commonalities that tie them together? That's when you're getting into niche marketing. Because number one, they're going to have a lot of the same friends, a lot of the same concerns, a lot of the same investments, and a lot of the things that you can really leverage and get exponential growth out of because you create it once and it applies to a multiplicity of potential clients. So that's number one. Break it down to the common level. What do they do for a living? Where do they work? Are they in a neighborhood? Do they have a common security? A common, whatever it is, break it down to the common level and start there, because you really are going to be able to duplicate yourself in a fashion and leverage that and get dynamic growth off of what you do. So when we say niche marketing, that's what we focus on. Here we do it with a few employers, a few types of jobs, let's say either engineers, accountants, physicians. But when you have a homogeneous group, this is where you can really hit pay dirt and really kind of run wild for this. So this is opposite of kind of just marketing to the baby boomers, diapers when everybody was having kids, and now diapers when everybody can't control their bowels. This is focusing on those specific people that you want to bring in and those that are just like them. Because the other thing is, John, on this, when you do events, there's an automatic comfort level that comes with this. If I was marketing John Randall, what I would be doing is be sending, some drum magazine, get a Portnoy autographed drumstick, send it to you. You have to know who your prospects are and know what they like, because you would probably come to an event hosted by somebody you didn't know if you knew there was going to be a lot of cool drum kit stuff there. If there's going to be an autographed cymbal from Peter Criss or Nico McBrain or some of the others, you're going to get people that like drums in there. If you have people that like golf, the ability to golf at an elite golf course is going to bring people in there. The ability to get a short game lesson from a great short game teacher is going to bring people there. If you have people that like wine, go all out on your wine events. I mean, April knows when I go to the wine store, we're not getting $16 bottles of wine. We're getting the Chateau Cheney Rothschild 2010 edition. So be bold in what you do, but break it down to the common denominator, and you'll have great results. So we've got a couple things we do here. One, we've got, this is an organizational chart for privacy reasons, kind of thrown up here. And I think, can everybody see that, Jacqueline? Okay. Into the picture now, this young lady, everybody knows April Kemplin. She's the director of marketing here with us.
You may want to zoom in on a little bit.
Well, how do I do that? Oh, I need to read. Young lady, thank you. So, so what is the green and yellow? What does all that mean?
Okay, so whenever we first started working with these two companies, this is one in particular, we had 8 to 10 clients already. So we thought, well, let's just host the event for those 8 to 10 clients, have them come to lunch. Maybe they'll bring some of their coworkers. So that's what we did. Originally, we were sending out invitations to about 30 to 40 people, but we wanted to grow that number. We knew that there were about 140 people that worked there. So we started creating an org chart to figure out who was in what department, what their titles were. So I performed a LinkedIn search, and we were able to just look up the company name to see who all worked there. You can export that into an Excel spreadsheet, and it will give you their name, their title, and their email address.
And this is all off LinkedIn?
This is all off LinkedIn, yes.
And
it's not with the premium, it's with the basic.
Basic, okay.
So then we took all that information and put it into the spreadsheet. Now, over time, we have grown. Our lunch seminars are 2 times a year for each of these two companies.
Same times during the year?
Same times during the year. They're very consistent. People know when they're coming up. Drew's the speaker. He knows their benefit plans better than their HR people, I would say. They feel comfortable talking to him about it. He's very knowledgeable. A lot of good information comes out of those lunches. So now, just recently, we have one tomorrow. So just recently, after compiling all this information, we were able to get the invitations out to 122 people. So out of 140 employees, we are now targeting 122. We have their home addresses, their names, we have where they work in the company, and we have their emails. So we send the invitations to their home. And then we send their email to whichever email address they use with their LinkedIn account.
So the green indicates people that are clients,
The
correct?
green indicates clients acquired, and you can scroll down and you can see we've gone.
So in the accounting department, we've got half the department. Now, the CFO is in our top prospect list, and so she gets special prospecting.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, all of these people are in, I guess I should mention, with us having their email addresses, all of these people are in our marketing on demand. So they are receiving our monthly newsletters and the market updates through marketing on demand automatically.
so what we have here, engineering, we've got about half the engineering department. We've got draftsman, we have the director of HR. We've got, compliance, safety, and then we've got about half the people that have retired. So we've done a pretty good job, and we have this at a couple other places, and I'd recommend anybody get it. So this is a great way to connect, John, who you're working with too. Is, I know who directly reports to the CFO, and that's who we want. And so, that's how we're going off, marketing to that person. We're doing this with another business in town as well. Has about the same amount of people. So basically, we are really kind of going, breaking it down to the most common denominator and then tracking, who we're getting. So typically, we'll send out, this luncheon happens every February, every August. We'll send out these invitations. So on the books for tomorrow, we already have how many RSVPs?
We have 18 RSVPs, and 4 of those weren't on our list, so they are prospects.
So that we didn't even know who they were. So basically, we'll have about 14 clients there, probably 4 to 6 prospects. It'll be about a 45-minute deal. I keep the presentation short, and I want to try to get as many questions as possible. If you do this for a business, I can tell you, you really, really, really will want to get Social Security knowledge, because that needs to be green. Choose a client now. Okay. That helps quite a bit, because there's always Social Security questions that come up. But the key is know the benefits backwards and forwards. Their HR department has enough on their plate. I mean, they're not going to be able to answer every question. And, basically, what we would say is, be the expert that they want you to be. And you'll have a lot of people to follow up with, without a doubt.
So just to caption here, this is key. Everyone has clients that work somewhere. So that can be an instant niche. If you got 2 people that work at the same place, this is huge. But I love being able to go to LinkedIn. You don't have to have the premium version to get these lists. Now, can you all bring to life, you talked about the CFO and the special marketing you do for targeted people. Can you bring that to life? What's special outside of just putting people in marketing on demand, inviting them to the lunch? What are the really top prospects getting? What does that look like for you all?
Well, you have to know, because we have a CFO of another company that's in the prospect bin too. So this whole tax thing that Trump's kind of, proposing. If you're a CFO of a pretty big business, I think you'd want to know about that. What's the market saying about it? So as soon as we get that, and that's, approved, that goes out with a little note. Hey, here's the latest of what's being discussed about this border adjustment tax and corporate tax policy in general. Thought you might want to, thought you might enjoy this piece. If you have any questions, please call me. So at a high level, these high level people, you want to be able to get them information quickly that they may not be able to get, but also information that would be valuable given where they are in, say, a corporate food chain. Now, realistically, because they're the CFO, probably their life is going to be a living hell until May because of taxes and taxes, as you can imagine, John. So, you know, you want to stay in contact with them and be polite, and not be overbearing given what they have going on, but also let them know that you're there to help them in any way that you can, without any doubt at all. And so that's generally how we've handled that. And then we'll send some, whiz-bang stuff to them, I would say. We've got kind of a thing that you can get from Tiffany's. I hope everybody can see this. Are these all the gifts that are on the 50% discount deal?
15. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So why don't you talk a little bit about this?
Okay, so one thing that we started doing this year, in the past, we had done something different for referrals. Anybody that sends us a referral, we would send them something through the mail with a thank you card attached. But we decided this year to just keep those names on a list. Anyone that refers a client to us will go on this list. At the end of the year, they're going to be invited to a referral party. Well, at that party, they will receive one of these Tiffany glasses, wine glasses, in the signature Tiffany box. But throughout the year, we're going to go ahead and purchase these and have them stacked in the lobby as we get referrals, so that it will create a buzz and people will ask, what are those for, who gets those, and then our receptionist can let them know that that's what it's for individuals that send us referrals. So to kind of create a buzz leading up to the party at the end of the year. And then everybody will feel like they're getting a significant gift from Tiffany's, at the referral party. So that's what we are doing with those this year. The box on the bottom, this is actually the Fifth Avenue box. We sent the World box this year to our top clients at Christmas. It was a huge hit. A lot of the ladies particularly like these. So we had a lot of feedback from that.
Yeah, it was a home run. It reminded me of the scene in Scarface, John, when Tony Montana comes out of his palatial estate in Miami, and the Goodyear blimp says, "The world is yours." So that's kind of the way.
That's good. Now, you mentioned a discount. Is that like an Ameriprise discount that's available to everyone?
Ameriprise, if you go on Compass, you can actually get the person from Tiffany's that you need to email, and everything is done through email. You can only get the 15% discount on anything that would be considered client approved. It can't be anything extravagant. Jewelry is excluded. But yeah, the 15% discount is across the board on anything that would be approved for client gift.
Great one. Really, really nice one. That's important targeting for these top people, someone that's close. I mean, this is really a shoot the fish in the barrel situation. If you can corral key people, really make a difference. And to me, I learned at some point, you need to make a scream to these people and not a whisper. You need to get their attention. And so if it is the CFO, it is a great person that you're trying to get their attention. A special gift like this will do it. You get something in that blue box that's significant. That's a pretty special wow that is not typical. So for these real targeted people, this is a great way to be really focused on them. And keep in mind, this is not everyone. Not everyone gets a gift from Tiffany's. It's the really, really top prospects. Very, very targeted people. There's probably a smaller number of them if you look at all your prospects, but these are the ones you want to do these extra special things for. So, are you all finding that are these people coming to your events, or are you capturing these top people more by grabbing their attention with these special gifts and special touches with them?
It's a mix, but probably more so just special touches, I would say, and bring them in for higher level discussions. One thing we don't have a slide of, John, but if people and anybody on the call, email Jacqueline with the number 1 if you're interested in this. It's Cat Studio, and they do dish towels, pillows, glasses, basically every state in the union, most major cities, most major venues. those are unbelievably good screaming for vengeance type gifts. People will know you're interested in them, especially if it's somewhere that they really, really like. We sent out that year before last for our Christmas gift for our top clients and prospects, and it was a home run. People have been to London. We sent them a London pillow. Some people have been to wine country at a wine country pillow. You have dish towels. So it is that's another. So if you're interested in that, just email Jacqueline with the number 1, and she will, get you that link. What's the question there?
Joanne Weaver asked if you all get glasses for all of the referrals or just the ones that result in new clients.
It will be for all referrals. Obviously, if somebody gives us 5 referrals, they're going to get 1 glass. But it will be for all referrals, whether they turn. It's basically our job to turn them into a client. So, and if you think about it, that glass is $25 minus the 15% discount that we get. Normally, when someone gives us a referral, we give them a $25 gift card to eat somewhere. So really, our cost is not any more than it would have been. But the wow factor and them getting something that they think may cost more than that is really the bigger benefit.
And, the feedback we've gotten on our Christmas gift is, and that generated some referrals too, is they couldn't believe their moms threw away the boxes. So what we're going to do with the boxes, John, is stack them up in our lobby by the elevator in a circle first, then another ring, and by Christmas we're going to have basically a Tiffany's box Christmas tree.
Right.
That will be there, and if no one trips on the rugs, we'll still be there by the time we have a referral party. And then we'll do our referral party typically every January to give away those. But as April said, it's intentional that it's there. It's a conversation piece. A lot of times, John, how many times have you heard it? Well, I don't want to hurt my good clients' feelings just because they don't give us any referrals. That's fine. That's up to them. If they want to give you a referral, that's the finest compliment you can receive. They're going to get a glass. And one of our very top clients, her son became a client this year. He's an HVC. He didn't say, hey, my mom referred me, but I've got enough sense to know she's going to get a glass because of that. So, use your judgment, use your discretion. But these have been very, very home run oriented. The other thing I think that goes without saying, let's talk about the roses to the widows. How many calls did we get about that? We did that yesterday. Yesterday was Valentine's Day, John. I didn't know if Kathleen had reminded you or not, but it was a good time. So tell everybody about that.
Okay, so yesterday we sent out roses, 2 dozen rainbow roses to 26 widows, I believe. We had a few that actually became widows this year, so this was their first year to receive them. We had a lot of emotional phone calls yesterday. Crying. It was highly unexpected from a lot of the ladies. But this is the second year that we've done it, and it was a big hit again. So I would suggest that.
Great. I think that was a D2 event wow contest from Lester Matlock that came from. And yes, huge impact for those of us that are doing it. Easy one, not that hard, but that's a wow. That's a tremendous wow. Absolutely.
What were the questions there?
Fast Eddie wants to know what happens when a top client talks with another client if one got a gift and the other didn't. How's that addressed?
Well, I mean, I think it's just one, if it's the referral. If it's the referral deal, you can address it. That look, this is part of the referral thing. It's just something totally different. And given who's getting the very, very elite gifts, I think it's probably known. And what's interesting is maybe people don't really want to. Because we're talking about people here probably with more than $5 million with us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, they're not out blowing their horn. Now, family members get it. You know, they know, you know, Aunt Jacqueline's loaded, and we expect Drew to get her something from Tiffany's, and I'll get a Christmas card. They understand that, and they appreciate that. And I'll tell you what it does, Eddie, more than anything in those situations, it allows the family unit to be a stronger book of business for you because they know they're all together. And that helps cement the relationship because you've got kind of more of a grip that way. But you've got to take care of all of them. But that's basically because I have had it happen. And you know, they said, well, you know, I saw she got that. That was all. She was so excited. And when we realized we're all here because of her. And the people that are thankful for the work we give them, and they're good clients, but they understand. So that's not, I know it's kind of a concern, but I guess what I'm saying is at that level where we're sending these gifts, it's not that big of a deal.
And we send other gifts. These are just the top tier gifts. We send other gifts, you know, down the line as well. So,
as far as the referral party, do you plan to invite the client that refers and the referral that becomes a client?
no, just the person that does the referring.
And I have one more question.
Sure.
As far as the Cat Studios stuff goes, do you all remember what kind of cost you're looking at for those gifts?
The glasses are like maybe $12. The hand towels are $20-ish.
25. Pillows are
25.
more.
There's two sizes of pillows. I think one's $65 and one is like $165. The big pillows are $165.
My dentist came in and sat on one for 3 hours at my house this weekend and ruined it. That's life with him. Now, another thing, I think this, John, is really something, and write down and email Jacqueline number 2 if you want this, a great new book by Rob Bernstein. This is Value as a Service. It was recommended to me by a West Coast guy. It's about software selling, John, but the tangible results for our business are there, and they're there in spades. And really, you know, I think what we're doing here kind of goes to this quote on page 66. I believe the best way to articulate that differentiation between ourselves and our competition is by providing demonstrable, quantifiable value in every single transaction and customer interaction, and that is where value as a service comes in. So basically, the software business has had a revolution, you know, so has ours. In any way we can basically show our value as a service, this includes what we're talking about here, is absolutely a home run way to maintain your clients and then attract others.
You know, one question I get a lot is just back to the niches, the companies, leveraging events, things like that. For the advocates that you have within these companies, the people that are real connectors that are connecting with others, how are you all leveraging them within some of your targeted companies? How do you use your connectors and advocates to get to the other people?
Well, me, I just ask them. I was like, you know, I want to work with April. You know, what's the best way to get in front of her? You know, what is she interested in? You know,
and you know, there's some advisors that out there that do this, but a lot don't. A lot aren't that direct in saying, look, I want to work with this person who's just like you. I want to work with this person that's above you. And we can't be afraid to ask. And I think that's one of the reasons that Drew acquires a lot of people. He's always one of the top end clients acquired. He's not afraid to ask and be direct and say, look, I want to work with your counterpart. I want to work with your boss. How, you know, get me connected with them. How, you know, how should we get together? That's the really important thing.
And if you're not that direct, John, let's go back to this week. I have 2 daughters, and yesterday was Valentine's Day. And at the elementary schools here, they still have Valentine's. And you give Valentine's. And so if you're not that direct, and if you were the type of person that sat in the lunchroom and said, April, I really want to give Jacqueline a Valentine, you're good friends with her. would you give this to her? What would you do?
I would give it to her.
And say, Drew wanted you to have this. So if you're not as direct as I am, it's okay to kind of use an intermediary. And I think, if that's your comfort level and if the person in April's seat is comfortable with it, go with it. But don't be afraid to ask. You're not showing any disrespect as long as you ask the right way to the person that's your client. Because I think, another way in a smooth conversation is to say, who else do you know? You found everything that we're doing is valuable. Who else, that you work with would find this equally or even more valuable? And I think just start the conversation, make it a referable moment, and then kind of go on. Your really, really high-end successful people are going to be busy, and I would say give yourself 12 to 18 months to kind of track them down. It's like anytime you're going fishing for a whale, ask Captain Ahab, how long does it take to find the great white whale? These are long, long voyages to bring in a relationship that will last a lifetime. And, if they have children, hopefully many lifetimes. I think the other thing that we're doing, John, with the integrated financial planning with the families has been a unmitigated success. And I think, we're getting word out, although the business prevention department at the back office is relentless on their inability to, think in a bigger scheme. But that's really, what we're doing, and it's helped tremendously.
Now let's discuss the niche of people working in the same place is so easy. That's really shooting fish in a barrel. There's probably other commonalities that exist with your clients. They could have a similar they could have a similar profession. When you get people working at a place 5 days a week, it's pretty easy to make connections. But Drew, let's talk about other niches that maybe people have the same like for example, they enjoy golf. Maybe people that are in the same profession but don't work in the same building every day. How do you approach those niches? How can you get some traction with people that are similar but not in the same building every single day?
Well, I think one, there's a bourbon society here. And so, I ask people in meetings, the easiest way is, what do you like to do? We make notes, put it in contact manager. So we kind of have a running tab. If we do something with whiskey, this is who we're going to invite. If we do something with wine, this is who we need to invite. If we want to do something that highlights a certain school, we'll know whose kids are in that school. Likewise with other organizations. So it's imperative to know. Now, one of the reasons why I know there's not a lot of senior brass coming to our seminar tomorrow is because there's a Girls Inc. luncheon, and a lot of them have been joined that organization here in town. We'll leave it at that. But then that's people that we know are going to be gone that might want follow-up. April always puts on the invitation, hey, we understand that, there's maybe a scheduling conflict. If you want to hear what we talked about, we'll be happy to give you a call, kind of give you the one-on-one spiel. Those are all things that you can do. But kind of going back to your point, what do you do if they don't work together? Find the common threads that bind everybody together.
You can actually do a LinkedIn search for golf, and it'll tell you anybody that has listed golf as a hobby in your area. You can do it for one of our advisors. He has a lot of OT and PT clients. Well, they may not all work for the same company, but that's just kind of his comfort level. He can speak the language. And so we're doing a LinkedIn search with him right now just on PT and OTs in this area. So they may not work at the same company, but they do the same thing, and then we'll gear an event around them.
And John, don't laugh. Keep track of incoming phone calls. We've had basically 5 calls in about medical marijuana. Now, what I've noticed is all these people have about $1 million. So my thought is they probably have friends that are interested too. So my little kind of keep my antenna up is thinking, if we get information on this, we'll send it out because obviously, I'm thinking Cheech and Chong, and really what I should be thinking of is, the millionaire next door. So like that's something that just by paying attention to what goes on in the office, you can probably find a little niche there.
That's a good point. The Cheech and Chongs of 30 years ago could be your millionaire next door today. It's a good point, but that's a very good one. Another item in this area, we have a few advisors that have big anniversaries in the business or with the firm coming up. We have some 20, 25, one with 30. And we've gotten some questions around what could those people do to turn that into a client acquisition or kind of or even a niche opportunity. What are some suggestions that you all have around an anniversary event that an advisor can turn that into a big wow and a magnetic client prospect attracting situation?
I think you turn it into basically like a Screen Actors Guild, Golden Globes, Grammy Academy Awards for your client. You want to give awards for who's been with you. If I've been in business 25 years, who's been in business with me since day one? And maybe you make it that. Maybe you make it a 20-year award. Make it about your clients and have them bring people. Because, it's an accomplishment to be in our business that long. And you'll be able to kind of, I would make it, literally, John, it would be like a Dean Martin celebrity roast. I'd probably have Cheney dressed up as Red Fox, and we would kind of smoke cigarettes on the dais and laugh. That's the way we would do it, is we'd make it fun, but make it about the clients and give out client awards. Not give away anything that's confidential, but, what I would do is also those clients that have passed that their kids stayed on, they would get an award as well. I can remember who was my first client, and, one of his kids is still with me from where it all started. That's the type of thing that I do, but I'm also the same type of guy. I went out to the ditch in front of my house where I played and hunted for crawdads and put a bunch of dirt in a glass jar to remind me where I came from. Yeah, that's the type of thing I would do. April, any comments on that?
I was thinking, like, if you didn't want to do, like, a party or anything like that, but you still wanted to celebrate and get the word out, you could do, and you can do this even in addition to a party, but if it's a 25th anniversary, you could do 25 days of giving back to the community.
Oh, that's brilliant.
You could go, to a local elementary school and pay off all the school lunches that one day. And it's a great social media campaign, I guess, because you would be posting daily, taking pictures of the things that you were doing as an office. And you could do 25 of those, over the course of a month, and then post those every day to create the buzz, and then maybe have a party at the end, or just the money that you would spend normally at the party, maybe just spend it in the community.
Well, if we just
instead
spent the money we spent on lunches in the community, hell, we'd wipe out poverty in a third of Davis County.
That is a great one. You can see why Drew and April consistently are at the top of D2 for clients acquired and the top of Ameriprise as well. It's a priority. There's focus. There's a lot of activity to generate results, and there's some creativity. You see a great example right there of the value of bringing somebody in like an April who has marketing expertise that can take this and run this. Sometimes advisors aren't the most creative, and that's okay, but leverage somebody that is. This kind of stuff is really what makes a difference. So hey, we're at the top of the hour here, but a lot of great gems. This will be available on replay. So I'd suggest going back and pick up some of these things. There's probably a lot to to go back and copy. But we'll have another webinar coming up before we're in Miami next month. We have a lot of neat things planned for that. So we're looking forward to the Warm coming up in about 6-7 weeks, being down in Miami for the Barron's event. Looking forward to seeing a lot of you there. So everyone stay bullish. Email Jacqueline for those follow-up items. And, of course, email your coach before your next coaching call with any questions, thoughts, insights. But stay bullish, focus on your niches, and one day you'll find riches.
John, just one thing before we leave. Everybody come to our investment panel. We'll be the ones dressed up as Crockett and Tubbs.
That's right. That's right. All right, guys, everyone take care. Stay bullish. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye.